This actually is our 13th year of doing this study. You can see the ebbs and flows of the trust in institutions, but the great story this year is the loss of trust in leadership. Trust is fragile. Trust moves based on events. Trust is also very much tied to economic prosperity. When we compare the Latin American region, to the rest of the world, the key statistics here are more trusting in business, more trusting in NGOs. That's unusual. Usually when you have high trust in business, you have lower trust in NGOs. It's different. The lowest trust in government of any region in the world. The lowest trust in government. It's a problem for the region. Government, thumbs down. Business, thumbs up. The question is, so what are we going to do about it?
Why do people distrust government? Globally, 31% put poor performance or incompetence. But you don't see that number in Latin America. In Latin America, it's far more about corruption. You saw banking and financial service at the bottom of the sectors in terms of ranking, in terms of trust. We asked about the cause of the banking and financial scandals, and this chart represents the numbers in LatAm. Corporate corruption, globally, 25%, a quarter. In Latin America, that jumps to 44%. Again, in Latin America, it's about corruption, perceived corruption. And here, we look at the difference between credibility of CEOs and government officials. CEOs far more trusted than government officials. And we asked, why is there this lack of trust in spokespeople?
The world has profoundly changed. We believe, indeed, there is a corresponding shape to the pyramid of authority, and it's an inverted pyramid of community. And the key to the inverted pyramid is that the communication does not happen vertically, it happens horizontally.
Douglas North, another Nobel Prize winner, argued that institutions are the most important part of development. And when you have the institutions being corroded from within, it's very damaging. At the risk of sounding like I blame everything on government, I blame everything on government. One of the big problems in Latin America when the region was very closed is that government, having monopoly power, which it does, very different from business, when business operates on its own. I mean, as much as you can say that a CEO might be stealing money or behaving in some fraudulent way, if he is in a market environment, right, he destroys the company goes out of business, there is a price to be paid for running his business like that. However, if that CEO who is a fraud has the protection of the government, and so can just continue doing what he's doing, ripping people off, ripping his customers off, ripping shareholders off, then of course, I would say, well, yeah, we shouldn't have trust in business. But the problem is not coming from the market. It's coming from this relationship between government and business.
We see an enormous amount of investment in, again, education, healthcare, expansion of consumer credit and financial services, housing, fast food chains, all kinds of products and services, and retailing has been absolutely enormous because those industries are ones that are not necessarily as directly affected by possible, government policies. Brazil is a very highly regulated market with an extremely, expensive tax system, and that creates, a lot of barriers for investors, and does, and again, it's a fairly hot market in terms of human capital is another topic we all talk about at every level, trying to hire people in the region. One of the greatest challenges is simply being able to staff a private equity team, a portfolio company, at every level. So that is definitely a challenge.
Just in terms of talking about drags, the drag on Mexico, which I think is actually the most important one right now, is the United States. And if you look at the integration of the Mexican and the U.S. economies, it is significant. If you look at the NAFTA area and the amount of trade in between that's existed between the two countries for the last 5 years is stagnant. And I think that as the United States grows, Mexico actually has an opportunity to grow. And when the United States falls into a deep recession, I think that has an enormous impact on Mexico.